Hello everyone, in today's video I'm breaking down my top 5 most anticipated action-adventure titles of 2025. These games span settings from futuristic cities to ancient dynasties, all promising high-octane combat and epic adventures. I'll break down each game's story, setting, combat system, and game mechanic, so grab a snack, sit back, and let's jump right in. First up is Ninja Gaiden 4. The legendary ninja action franchise is making a big comeback after a long hiatus. This new installment is positioned as a direct sequel to Ninja Gaiden 3, picking up the story years later in a dark, gruesomely transformed Tokyo. Players will step into the shoes of a new protagonist named Yakumo, a young ninja facing a city plunged into chaos by the return of the Dark Dragon. Despite the new hero, longtime fans will be happy to know that the series' iconic protagonist, Ryu Hayabusa, isn't gone. In fact, Ryu plays a significant role in the story and is even a playable character, serving as both a mentor and a formidable challenge to Yakumo throughout the game. This setup creates an exciting narrative dynamic. Yakumo's journey is one of redemption and growth as he must prove himself against legendary figures and overwhelming odds in a dark, gritty world true to the Ninja Gaiden legacy. When it comes to combat, Ninja Gaiden 4 stays true to the franchise's fast-paced, brutally challenging action while adding fresh twists. Players can expect the signature high-speed swordplay and visceral combos the series is known for, coupled with relentless enemies that will test your skills. What's new are some flashy traversal mechanics, as Yakumo can utilize wires and rails to zip through environments. A first for the series. This means more mobility during exploration and fights, keeping the adrenaline up even between battles. The game also introduces a powerful new ability called the Blood Raven form. This technique lets Yakumo manipulate blood, both his own and that of his enemies, to forge a massive weapon that can slice through multiple foes at once. Under certain conditions, Yakumo can even unleash a finishing move dubbed Bloodbath Kill, which instantly bisects an enemy in one strike. These new mechanics add an extra layer to combat, allowing players to turn the tide in tough encounters. Don't worry though, the developers have emphasized that while these additions keep things fresh, the game maintains the classic challenge and feel that Ninja Gaiden veterans love. Returning players should feel right at home with the tight controls and punishing difficulty, even as they experiment with Yakumo's new tools. Beyond combat, Ninja Gaiden 4 will still reward skill and strategy. Mastering when to engage Blood Raven form or when to use the environment for an advantage will be key to surviving the onslaught of enemies. The levels are designed around a theme of adversity. From start to finish, Yakumo will be tested not just by enemies, but by the environment and obstacles, keeping you on your toes throughout. And with Ryu Hayabusa making appearances as a boss and an ally, there's an element of mentorship and rivalry that adds depth to the gameplay experience. It's this blend of new and old, a new hero, new moves, but that same satisfying Ninja Gaiden gameplay that has fans so excited. Ninja Gaiden 4 is expected to release in fall 2025 on PC and current-gen consoles, marking the series' first mainline entry in 13 years. So get ready to sharpen your blades as the year of the ninja is almost upon us. Next on my list is Wuchang Fallen Feathers, an action RPG that transports us to late Ming Dynasty China. The setting is the plagued land of Chu, a region ravaged by civil war and a mysterious affliction known as the Feathering Disease. In this war-torn world, dark forces and turmoil go hand in hand. You play as Wuchang, a fierce female warrior who suffers from amnesia and bears the curse of the Feathering Disease herself. This disease is no ordinary illness. It transforms its victims into monstrous beings, which means the countryside is crawling with nightmarish creatures and corrupted souls. The story follows Wuchang on her journey through the devastated lands of Chu as she seeks answers about the plague and her own lost memories. The narrative weaves historical elements with mythology. A lore trailer even hints at an ancient mythical war between avian factions that took place long before the game's events. All of these story threads create a rich backdrop of Chinese history and legend, promising an epic tale of survival, self-discovery, and maybe even a cure for the Feathering Disease. If you're a fan of Souls-like adventures, Wuchang's combat will be right up your alley. The game is a Souls-like action RPG, meaning you can expect challenging, methodical combat where timing and strategy are crucial. Face-to-face battles with grotesque enemies will demand well-timed dodges, parries, and knowing when to strike, classic hallmarks of the genre. But Wuchang Fallen Feathers isn't just mimicking Souls games. It introduces its own flavor to combat. One of the standout features is the Featherweave combat system, which allows for fluid switching between weapons and spells mid-fight. In the footage shown so far, Wuchang can be seen wielding a variety of weapons, from elegant swords like the Cloudfrost's Edge to explosive dual firearm blades, and seamlessly combining swordplay with sorcery. For example, you might block or parry an enemy's attack and immediately follow up with a spell or a quick weapon swap, stringing together combos that are as flashy as they are effective. This fluid mix of melee and magic gives players the freedom to craft their own fighting style, making each encounter dynamic and rewarding. Speaking of magic, Wuchang features powerful spells and supernatural abilities rooted in Chinese mysticism. As you defeat formidable bosses and foes, you'll unlock new spells. The developers have shown off abilities like a thunderous roar that launches enemies or a fiery lotus that engulfs foes. These spells not only deal heavy damage but often have strategic effects such as stunning enemies, creating area of effect blast, or providing you with temporary buffs, adding to the depth of how you approach tough battles. The enemies you'll face range from armored soldiers of rival factions to supernatural beasts mutated by dark magic. For instance, one reveal showcased a monstrosity called the Corpse-Swallowing Muso, hinting at the variety of creatures in the game. To overcome such threats, you'll need to master your arsenal. The game encourages experimentation with different weapon arts and combat styles. One moment you could be thrusting with a long Enigma spear to keep a terrifying enemy at bay, and the next you are cleaving a larger monster with a heavy axe that unleashes fire. Outside of combat, players can expect an immersive journey through Ming Dynasty China. The world of Wuchang Fallen Feathers features 5 chapters of exploration, and it's not just fighting. You'll also uncover lore and solve minor puzzles as you navigate environments ranging from devastated villages to ancient ruins. The development team drew inspiration from real historical sites and classic literature, so the game world blends historical authenticity with a mythical flair. All of this makes for a unique atmosphere that sets Wuchang apart from other action RPGs. Keep your blades sharp and your wits about you as you traverse this hauntingly beautiful world. Wuchang Fallen Feathers is slated for a release sometime in 2025 for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S, and it's even planned as a Day 1 title on Game Pass. If you're eager for a Souls-like adventure in a fresh setting, keep an eye on this one. It's shaping up to deliver dark lore, intense battles, and a journey unlike any other. My third pick is Hell Is Us, a third-person action-adventure that delivers a unique blend of intense melee combat and open-ended exploration. The game is set in a country ravaged by civil war, but if that wasn't enough, the land is also struck by a mysterious calamity that has unleashed supernatural horrors upon the populace. In Hell Is Us, you play as Remy, a man on a personal quest to uncover his origins in his war-torn homeland. The country has been almost completely isolated from the outside world, which means no one is coming to help with the chaos. Amidst the anarchy of conflict, strange otherworldly creatures have appeared that are impervious to modern weapons. Bullets and bombs do nothing to these monsters, so forget about typical shooter gameplay. Instead, Remy must rely on tools from another age. The game arms you with a traditional sword and other melee weapons especially forged to destroy these creatures, as well as a high-tech drone companion. It's an interesting mix of ancient and modern, as you'll be wielding swords, spears, and axes to cut down supernatural foes while also deploying a floating drone to scout and assist. Together, this sword and drone duo is key to surviving the calamity and unraveling the mystery of where these creatures came from. The central theme driving the story is an exploration of human violence. The creative director describes it as a perpetual cycle fueled by human emotions and passions, suggesting the narrative will delve into the darker side of human nature as much as the monsters on the surface. When it comes to combat, Hell Is Us focuses on close quarters melee encounters against those supernatural creatures. You'll have a range of melee weapons at your disposal, from swift swords to heavy axes, each designed to dispatch different types of otherworldly foes. Combat is described as intense and skill-based, so expect to time your strikes, dodge attacks, and possibly use counters when the opportunity arises. The enemies, inspired by ancient headstones and statues, are not your typical zombies. They're mysterious, ghostly adversaries that might require specific strategies to defeat. This is where your equipment comes in. Using your drone wisely is part of the combat loop. For example, The drone might help you investigate enemy weaknesses, distract a creature, or navigate the terrain to gain a tactical advantage. The details are under wraps, but the developers have hinted that it's an important ally, not just a fancy flashlight. Each enemy encounter is meant to feel tense and dangerous since modern firearms are useless, making Remy's handcrafted weapons and combat skills your only hope. The game's creative director has noted that combat makes up roughly half of the experience, with the other half being exploration and investigation. It's this exploration and investigation mechanics that truly set Hell Is Us apart. The developers have taken a bold approach as there is no map, no compass, and no traditional quest markers to handhold you. Instead, the game relies on what they called a player plattering approach, which basically means you follow your instincts rather than on-screen icons. As you explore the semi-open world, you'll have to pay attention to environmental clues, landmarks, and conversations with NPCs to figure out where to go next. The level design and narrative are crafted to naturally guide you. Characters you meet will share information and hints, and your quest log becomes a collection of clues and investigations rather than explicit waypoints. In practice, this might feel like you're a detective in a horror-torn land, piecing together what to do from subtle hints. You won't even know an NPC's name until you talk to them, emphasizing that feeling of discovering everything firsthand. Additionally, the world of Hell Is Us is filled with secrets and puzzles. This will reward players who take the time to explore and think. This investigative gameplay encourages immersion. You're not just checking off waypoints, you're truly adventuring, using reasoning and intuition to uncover the country's dark secrets. With its semi-open world design, expect a mix of wide areas to roam and possibly more linear sections for story moments. The environment is bleak and atmospheric. Imagine exploring ghost towns, battlefields littered with ruins, and forests where something uncanny lurks behind the trees. The narrative will progress as you talk to survivors and key characters, slowly revealing what caused the calamity and how it ties into Remy's personal journey. It's a game that promises 50% combat and 50% exploration with puzzle solving, which is great for those who love adventure games that don't just focus on fighting, but also on immersive world building. In terms of progression, while there is no traditional HUD guiding you, there is an interface with clues and notes that are stored so you can review what you've learned. This way, you can keep track of mysteries you're trying to solve or tasks you've picked up through dialogue. It's clear that the developers want players to feel the thrill of actual exploration, getting lost a bit, finding things organically, and feeling smart when you figure something out on your own. All in all, Hell Is Us is shaping up to be a refreshingly different kind of action-adventure. It combines the thrill of melee combat against supernatural foes with the intellectual satisfaction of investigation and exploration without hand-holding. If you've been craving a game that challenges both your reflexes and your curiosity, this one should be on your radar, and you won't have to wait too long to experience it, as Hell Is Us is set to launch on September 4, 2025 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Mark your calendars for this one because it's not just about fighting monsters, it's about unraveling a mystery in a world gone to hell and finding out if hell is indeed us. Now we turn to Crimson Desert, an ambitious open-world action-adventure from Pearl Abyss, the creators of Black Desert Online. This game has been years in the making and is finally on the horizon, targeting a late 2025 release. Crimson Desert transports players to the continent of Pywell, a sprawling medieval fantasy world filled with diverse landscapes and conflict at every turn. You'll step into the boots of Cliff, a battle-hardened mercenary leader with a troubled past. The story centers on Cliff and his ragtag band of mercenaries as they struggle to survive amid Pywell's political turmoil and warfare. This isn't a high fantasy tale of chosen heroes, it's a gritty narrative of mercenaries, alliances, and betrayals. Cliff leads the Greymane mercenaries, a group of fighters each with their own backstories and motivations, which means you'll meet and possibly recruit companions with rich personal stories as you progress. The writers have emphasized realistic portrayal of characters and their struggles, so expect a story with mature themes. Perhaps tragedy, sacrifice, and hard moral choices. In fact, player choices will influence the course of the story and the world around you. The game aims to give you agency in how events unfold, siding with different factions, deciding the fate of characters, and shaping Cliff's path. This dynamic storytelling approach means your decisions could lead to different outcomes, encouraging you to truly roleplay as the mercenary captain. The world of Pywell itself is a star of the show. It's described as a vast open world with a range of environments, from harsh deserts to icy plains and bustling medieval towns. As you wander through Pywall, you encounter mercenary camps, castles under siege, ancient ruins, and lively settlements, all teeming with NPCs and quests. The developers have shown that there is a ton to do besides the main storyline. You can engage in side activities that really make the world feel alive. Things like fishing in serene lakes, cooking meals, rock climbing cliffs, and even solving puzzles hidden throughout the landscape. These activities not only provide a break from the combat, but also likely offer rewards or character progression. Exploration seems to be a huge focus. You might find yourself climbing tall structures or mountains to get a lay of the land. And for those who love discovery, Pearl Abyss promises plenty of secrets scattered across the world, perhaps hidden dungeons, legendary creatures, or treasure troves for intrepid adventurers. Of course, Crimson Desert is also about action-packed combat, and it looks to deliver in a big way. The combat system here is fast-paced and skill-based, blending the depth of an RPG with the responsiveness of an action game. Swordplay, archery, magic, you name it, Cliff and his allies will have a variety of ways to take down enemies. The developers have hinted at a new generation of weapons in addition to classic medieval armaments. That means you'll wield swords, axes, bows, and possibly more exotic tools, some imbued with special powers through the alchemy system that lets you enhance weapons with elemental or mystical effects. Imagine coating your blade in fire or shocking enemies with a lightning-imbued spear. The alchemy feature could add a layer of strategy, allowing you to tailor your arsenal to your playstyle or to exploit enemy weaknesses. Combat encounters range from battling bandits and soldiers in skirmishes to facing off against massive boss creatures. In fact, Crimson Desert is poised to include monumental boss fights and one-on-one duels that will test your reflexes and tactics. Some gameplay clips from Gamescom 2024 showcased intense battles reminiscent of Dragon's Dogma or Monster Hunter, where you might have to dodge giant swings, climb on larger foes, or target weak points. And yes, you can fight on horseback as well. Picture yourself charging into battle on a steed, swinging a sword, or shooting arrows from horseback. The mounted combat should make traversing and battling across the open fields even more cinematic and fun. What's also interesting is that Crimson Desert isn't just a single-player experience. While the main campaign is a narrative-driven single-player adventure, the game will feature online multiplayer content as well. Pearl Abyss has mentioned a separate multiplayer mode that might come after launch, where players can possibly explore or complete content together. This could mean co-op monster hunts or maybe PvP mercenary skirmishes in the open world. It's an exciting prospect as it could extend the game's longevity well beyond the single-player story. However, the heart of the game remains the story of Cliff and the mercenary life. Managing your band of mercenaries might also be a mechanic, perhaps recruiting new members, equipping your team, or making choices that affect your crew's morale and loyalty. The mercenaries you meet are said to have unique backstories, which suggests you might undertake personal quests for them or witness their stories unfold as you travel together, much like companions in classic RPGs. All these elements, deep story, open world freedom, robust combat, side activities, make Crimson Desert sound almost like a single player MMORPG experience, if that makes sense. It's the scale of an MMO but tailored for a solo narrative experience. The graphics and presentation seen in trailers are stunning, from detailed cities alive with NPCs to dynamic weather and day and night cycles across the wilderness. Pearl Abyss is known for their visual prowess, and they seem to be pulling out all the stops to make Pywall an immersive place. Whether you're raiding an enemy fort, dueling a rival mercenary under the moonlight, or simply enjoying a quiet moment of fishing at sunrise, Crimson Desert wants to deliver the next-gen open-world experience. As I mentioned before, Crimson Desert is expected to launch in late 2025 on PC and current-gen consoles. And it's definitely one of the biggest titles to watch. Keep your swords sharp and your wits about you as the world of Pywall awaits. And it's bound to be an epic journey filled with combat, exploration, and storytelling on a grand scale. Last but not least, we have Lost Soul Aside, a stylish action RPG that has been years in the making and has built up a ton of anticipation. This game started off as a solo developer's dream and is now being published by PlayStation, coming to PS5 and PC on May 30th, 2025. Lost Soul Aside is set in a gorgeous fantasy world blended with sci-fi elements. Think along the lines of futuristic tech meets medieval fantasy, all wrapped in an anime-inspired aesthetic. The world has been ravaged by war and is now facing a new threat. the mysterious dimensional invaders known as the Void Racks. These Void Racks arrived in a catastrophic event and are bent on destroying other species and draining the energy from their souls. In the midst of this chaos, we have our protagonist, Kaiser. Kaiser is a young warrior who was part of a rebel group fighting against an oppressive empire. At the start of the game, Kaiser and his sister Luisa attempt a daring mission during the Emperor's grand celebration, a chance to strike a blow against tyranny. But everything goes horribly wrong in a single night. During the uprising, a violent meteor shower rains down from the sky, annihilating everything, and in the aftermath, Luisa's soul is taken. Kaiser himself is changed by this event, gaining a mysterious new ally and powers he never had before. The core of the story of Lost Soul Aside then becomes Kaiser's journey to save his sister's soul and stop the Void Racks. It's very much a hero's journey, fight to save your world, save your sister, and save your soul, as the tagline goes. Kaiser sets out across multiple realms, including alternate dimensions, to confront the Void Racks threat head-on. He's joined by a mysterious ally which manifests as a dragon-like companion named Arena. Arena isn't just for show. This sentient dragon companion grants Kaiser incredible abilities and fights alongside him in a unique symbiotic relationship. The narrative will explore the bond between Kaiser and Arena, uncovering the truth behind their shared power. At the same time, Kaiser is seeking redemption and answers. He's grappling with the guilt of failing to protect Luisa and the responsibility of newfound powers. The story promises plenty of drama and twists without overwhelming the gameplay. We can expect emotional moments as Kaiser faces personal challenges and high-stakes conflicts, possibly learning more about the Void Racks and why Luisa was taken. Overall, the plot combines the personal stakes of a brother's love and redemption with the epic stakes of saving humanity from interdimensional invaders. It's a classic setup for an action RPG, and if executed well, it could deliver both heart and spectacle. Now, if you've seen any trailers for Lost Soul Aside, you know that combat is where the game truly shines. The game is all about fast, fluid, and flashy combat. The developer's goal was to make the combat so smooth and stylish that you feel like you're in your own action movie. From what's been shown, players will be chaining together aerial combos, dashing around enemies, and unleashing visually stunning special attacks in rapid succession. Kaiser wields a shape-shifting sword along with other weapons that allows for a variety of attack styles. One moment you might be doing quick slashes and the next your sword transforms into a lance or splits into blades for area attacks. Combat is very much in the vein of character action games like Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden, but with its own twist thanks to Arena, the dragon companion. Arena fights alongside you almost like a living weapon. For example, Arena can transform into a pair of hovering blades for Kaiser to ride on or morph into spectral dragon claws that strike at enemies. The game lets you customize your loadout and chain synergistic combos between Kaiser's weapon and Arena's powers. This means that there is a layer of strategy. You might launch an enemy in the air with Kaiser's sword, then command Arena to pummel it while you switch to another weapon to finish the combo. The developers describe Arena's abilities as game changers that can turn tough battles in your favor when used wisely. The combat system also rewards precision and timing. You can dodge and parry enemy attacks. In fact, some bosses will require perfectly timed counters as well as planned moves. One boss fight highlighted by the devs involves a towering dragon where you have to juggle aerial dodges and counters while managing your attacks. Moments like that are designed to push your skills to the limit but also make you feel awesome when you pull them off. The game also has a concept of burst combos and fusion attacks. By timing your button presses correctly during combos, you can unleash powerful burst finishers for extra damage. And by attacking continuously, you build up a fusion gauge that when full allows Kaiser and Arena to perform a devastating combined attack. The combat is easy to pick up but challenging to master. Even newcomers can enjoy mashing out cool moves, but mastering perfect dodges, combo timing, and ability synergies will let you absolutely dominate enemies in style. We've seen Kaiser zipping across arenas, slicing through hordes of monsters, and facing giant bosses that fill the screen, all with smooth frame rates and over-the-top visuals. Beyond the flashy combat, Lost Soul Aside offers RPG mechanics so you can tailor Kaiser to your playstyle. As you fight and progress, you'll earn experience and can upgrade Kaiser's skills through a skill tree. You get to choose new abilities or stat boosts that fit how you want to play. Whether you prefer boosting your defense, enhancing certain weapon combos, or empowering Arena's abilities, there's flexibility to build your own combat style. There are also different weapons to use, each with unique moves and strength, and presumably gear or fragments you can equip to augment your attacks. Solving puzzles in the world and exploring will also be a part of the gameplay, giving a brief respite from battle and likely hiding rewards for those curious enough to explore every corner. And speaking of the world, the environments in Lost Soul Aside are diverse. One moment you're in a sunlit plain or exploring ancient ruins, and the next you might step into an alternate dimension brimming with energy and strange phenomena. These shifts keep the scenery fresh and let the game show off different aesthetics, from serene to surreal. The development team has poured effort into making the world feel alive and filled with secrets, monsters, and unpredictable events to keep players engaged while exploring. In summary, Lost Soul Aside promises an epic odyssey that combines heart-pounding action with a heartfelt story. You have high-speed, combo-heavy combat that will test your reflexes, a companion system adding a unique twist to fighting, and a narrative that's both personal and grand. It's the kind of game where one minute you're deeply invested in the characters and story, and the next you're thrilled by the gameplay spectacle on screen. The wait has been long, but the finish line is in sight. As I mentioned before, Lost Soul Aside is officially launching on May 30th, 2025. If you love games like Final Fantasy 15 or Devil May Cry and want something that blends those vibes into a single experience, keep your eyes peeled for this one. It looks ready to deliver intense combat, beautiful worlds, and an emotional journey all in one package. And there you have it, folks. My 5 most anticipated action-adventure games of 2025. Each one of these titles offers something unique. Ninja Gaiden 4 brings back a classic franchise with new blood and brutal ninja action. Wuchang Fallen Feathers offers a Souls-like journey through a mythic war-torn China. Hell is Us combines thought-provoking exploration with visceral combat in a haunting modern setting. Crimson Desert promises an open-world epic with mercenary intrigue and blockbuster battles. And Lost Soul Aside dazzles with its lightning-fast combat and heartfelt fantasy story. It's safe to say that 2025 is shaping up to be an incredible year for action-adventure fans. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this rundown, please give the video a like and let me know in the comments which game you're most excited for. Are you eager to test your skills in Ninja Gaiden 4's Bloodraven form, or perhaps lose yourself in the open world of Crimson Desert? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more gaming countdowns and updates on these titles as their release dates get closer. Until next time, happy gaming and take care everyone.